Welcome back to another session of Single Moms Guide, Spotlight, Mentors, and Coaches. I am pleased to welcome Shannon Wallbran. She is with us all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa, where she has lived for the past dozen years. Shannon is originally from Minneapolis in the U.S., but thanks to a long and divinely guided journey, she has visited 47 countries, lived in 6, and is now known as South Africa's top psychic. As a psychic, she helps people to get answers of their toughest personal questions. Questions like, what should I do for my work? How can I heal from my divorce? And how can I be a better parent? She's helped 25,000 plus people in person, on calls, and on the radio to get accurate and personalized divine guidance. How does she do it? What does she believe? And what can she teach us? Let's find out. Welcome, Shannon.
Hi, Trevina. So nice to be with you. How are you doing today?
I am great, thank you. I am great. I'm just right. Thank you so much for joining us. So I've read a little bit about your bio, but in your own words, kind of tell us about what you do. Give us a starting point for what you do and how you do it.
Sure. I'm a psychic. So another way to say that is I receive divine guidance. I truly believe that everybody can receive divine guidance for themselves. And I think that through prayer and meditation, that's what we're supposed to be doing for ourselves. But I have a job which is to be a messenger. It's to be a translator. So I'm someone who can amplify and clarify messages that you're supposed to get to help you along your own journey. I've been doing it since 2003, and I've been very blessed, and really I've done very well, and I've helped other people do well, which gives me great pleasure.
Yeah, that was one of the most, I think, compelling and impressive things when I was reading and researching you, is that not only are you a translator and you amplify the message, but you also kind of guide your clients to tune in and listen to their own guides. So it's more of you're kind of helping us to quiet our own chatter so that we can tune into that guidance. And I'm hoping, just from our brief call, what I'm understanding is that the more you do it, not only the more are you tuned into that guidance, but the easier it is to recognize and hear it. Am I correct by that understanding?
That's absolutely right. In fact, I'd even take it a step further. I would say the more you pray and ask for help, the more help is given to you, and the quicker we act and respond to messages and to guidance, the bigger and better the messages get. So it says, like, ask and you will receive, ask and it is given. But I think that God works with us in many, many, many ways. And I think that God is helping us anyway. So anyway, even if we don't ask, whatever, we're still being helped. But the more we listen and the more we quickly respond, then the better things get. And it has happened in my life, and it's happened in the lives of my clients.
Right. So Shannon, do you really believe in angels? And what are they? When we're talking about this guidance, we're saying we're using different terms, right? We're maybe thinking angels, or maybe we're thinking God. Is there a difference? Talk to me a little bit about that. What is this angels?
Sure. Well, first of all, I'll admit that I have a cultural bias, okay? So I'm a white Western woman. I was raised in the United States in this part of the century. I was born in 1969. I'm 47. I was raised as a Roman Catholic. So all of these things have shaped my cultural upbringing. That's who I am, and that's where I come from. But I've studied other religions too. So I went to India, I stayed at an ashram, I went on a Vipassana retreat, I've done silent retreats in the Buddhist tradition. I've also studied Judaism very thoroughly. I went to Jerusalem and I stayed at a yeshiva, and I learned how to read Hebrew. And I've also learned other things, many other kinds of different traditions. So I have an awareness of the world and world religions, and I have a deep respect for other world religions, the ones that I know about. And then there are many more that I am still learning about, including traditional African religions, which are here, which include working with healing and working with divination and respect for the ancestors. So let's say there's a lot going on. But the way that I'm understanding it is that God, as I understand, is big, 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 big. So big, so big, so big, so big that any one religion is just one path up the mountain, and God is above all of these things that are human-made creations and ways and traditions and rituals. So when I talk about God, I talk about source, I talk about the creator, I talk about the life force that's within me and that's within you. And then when I think about angels, which is it's a Christian concept, but it's also a Buddhist concept, and a lot of different religions have angels. I think of them as extensions of God. So like there's God, and God is a nuclear power station. And then there's that big transformer thing that you see on the highway. And then there's the telephone pole outside my house that has an electricity wire. And then there's the plug in my wall that I can plug my phone into, you know?
Yeah.
I can't plug my phone into the coal plant.
Right.
I'm going to blow. So
Right.
that's not how it works. So there's got to be a way to step it down so that a human can experience God or can be in contact with God, and that happens in nature as well. So I believe that angels are messengers of God that are direct emanations from Him. And then I believe in saints and guides. It gets a little bit fuzzy because I don't really know, but God gives us messengers who may be ancestors of ours, or they may be holy people who lived many, many centuries and generations ago, or I'm not quite sure. But what I can say is I pray every time I do the work. I say, please, God, let me be a translator. And then the messages that come out are stuff that I could never know. And I always ask the client to like keep her cards close to her chest and don't give it away. Right. So she should ask, should I marry Thomas? But she shouldn't say, should I marry Thomas? He gave me a fantastic Christmas present, and he's really nice to my mom, and he's a really good new dad to the kid. And then I get the message, you should marry Thomas because he's quite a good co-parent for you, and he's very generous, and he's a person of good integrity. And then she goes, yes, that's true. Mm-hmm. Okay, so cool.
Well, so does everyone have their own angels?
You, Trevina, have angels.
Oh, yeah? How?
Yes.
Awesome. And so
I also have angels.
So they're like, allocated to you? What do they do? What is their... I just, for some reason, that just warms, it's so comforting.
It's nice,
that you have this force, this legion kind of got your back.
Legion is a good way of saying it. I think of it as a dream team, and I also think of it as a cohort of university professors that are assigned just to you for the term of your needing them. So let's say somebody, I won't talk about you as if I'm giving you a reading, because I'm not. So let's say that somebody is going through difficulty and that challenge and that challenge and that challenge, then he would have an angel who is a financial expert, an angel who is a Zen monk who's trying to get him to calm down, an angel who is a doctor, an angel who is a midwife for his new business. And then when he accomplishes those things, then they rotate in, they rotate out, and they come on board as needed and as you say, as assigned.
That is awesome. I mean, that's mind-blowing. It really is.
What's funny is that sometimes somebody will say, what are the roles of my angels and guides? And I'll say, okay, well, I'm getting that there's a monk, and there's a something, and there's a doula, like there's a midwife. And she says, you don't know it, but I am pregnant. That's true, I am. So they tell me their roles, but the client doesn't tell me what's going on with her. And then it, fits together.
Wow, that is awesome. So is it, one of the things you mentioned kind of on our little pre-call when we were just kind of getting acquainted with one another is that you're receiving messages all the time. You gave the example of, sometimes we'll be thinking about something in our head, we'll be at the grocery store, and, you gave the vegetarian example, where and then your client will come to you and say, should I be a vegetarian? And the guides may say something as like, well, we've already answered that. Yesterday when you were in the grocery store, we told you, you weren't feeling like buying meat, and we told you to buy vegetables, and you still bought meat. And so I want to talk about the kind of, what are the messages that we're receiving all the time? When we talk about, the more you tune into it, that voice, how do I even at home, how do we begin to just turn towards that voice?
And how do we distinguish between the
How do
voice of the ego and the voice of spirit? So the voice of ego is really annoying, and it's really nagging, and it's quite critical. It's kind of like that mean math teacher that you had in 5th grade that put you down all the time, and said that you weren't good enough. So the ego says things like, you're fat, or, you'll never make it, or why are you even bothering? Don't do that. That's the ego. Or the ego says, you have to, you have to, you have to. You have to buy a new car, and whoa, that blanket doesn't look nice on your bed. How do you think you're ever going to get a boyfriend? Very annoying. Whereas the voice of spirit is calm, focused, directive, and brief. So you might get a good idea, or you could do that. It's like a little shove, a shove of love, and it usually only comes once or twice. It's pretty cool. Do you know what I mean?
So do you find a lot of times when you're working with clients, some of the questions they ask, they've really already have the answer to? You know what I mean? Like they've already gotten these gentle nudges, this still calm voice, they've already gotten that. Does that come up a lot? Not just in the vegetarian example, but does that come up a lot where we've already received it and we're just, it doesn't seem like that is the simple solution,
Right, the simple, elegant solution. It's often a simple, elegant solution. So I think of a session as usually 60-40, 60% confirmation and 40% challenge. So if a message comes through, yeah, you're right, that job, you've been working there long enough, and now it's time for you to move on, and they're not paying you enough. They're not paying you enough. So that's just a confirmation. Right. But it's good that you've not given me the facts first. Mm-hmm. As I keep saying, it's good that it's coming from an outside and neutral place, instead of your sister saying, gee, they're not paying you enough, are they? Because you might not believe her, or your mom saying, you're not earning enough money.
Right.
And then the 40% is challenge, and sometimes the challenge is really challenging. Sometimes the challenge says something like, and you should move to Russia and start an organic farm. And most people are like, wow, no way, what are you talking about? It's something that they've never thought of. They've thought about leaving this job because it doesn't pay enough. That's normal. But then they'll say something like, you could open up a dog parlor. You're like, what? What are you talking about?
Right.
Something completely fresh and new that has never passed their vision before. But then I say, well, let's do some fact checking. Your angels are saying you love dogs. You've always had dogs ever since you were a kid. You really want to start a business that gives you passive income. So it's not like you would run the dog parlor, but you want to work with incarcerated youth, kids who have been through the prison system and don't have anything to do. And that it's a healing thing when kids who have been in trouble work with pets. And so therefore you could start, okay. And so then it starts getting spelled out. And she said, I have always had dogs. I do want to work with incarcerated, post-incarcerated youth. I do know that about pets and kids. So then she says, okay, I'll give it a think. I'll pray on it, I'll see if but it's not as if she has to do it by 5:00 in the afternoon,
Right. It's a process.
But as I say, the quicker you respond to the call of spirit, the better things go.
Right.
So I have had people who have had an opportunity given to them, like, you should apply to go to school at Oxford, right? And then she was like, oh, I could never do that. I would never qualify. I don't know what you're talking about. I could never pay for that. And then she didn't do it. She came back to me in a year and she said, maybe I'm ready to apply. And the guide said, I'm sorry, the window is closed for that opportunity. Now it's not going to happen, so don't even do it. Now apply for a local university. And she goes, oh, shoot.
Right. So it's the same, that specific opportunity, it's just kind of changed form, so instead of it being this grand, I'm going to Oxford, she's still going to have the same path. The same opportunity is going to eventually open up, but now it's a different window.
Yeah, although it would have been cool to go to Oxford,
Right,
So my point is don't throw the idea out completely. Question it, interrogate it, ask, why is that good for me? What would that do for me? How can I do that? And I'm scared about that. So how can I get over my fear, or how can I overcome the barriers that I perceive between me and that possibility?
I love that. So how did you arrive here? How did you figure out that you were psychic?
So I was a sensitive kid, and by sensitive, I mean not in such a good way. Like I was kind of a crybaby. I was the one who somebody would say something and I would burst into tears and run out of the room. I was really sensitive. And I was sensitive in tactile ways too. Like my clothes were always too itchy and it was too hot in the room and things were too loud and too bright. So nowadays we might call that sensory processing disorder, but I didn't know that at the time. And so I had friends when I was a kid, but I was a little bit of a loner. I liked my family, the family that I grew up in. I had brothers and sisters, and so we hung out a lot together. But there were times when I was kind of staring out the window, or I would spend some good time in the library all by myself, you know. And I did learn about the saints, and I did wonder, I wonder if I'll be a saint, because I'm Catholic, right? And my mom, in the old Catholic tradition, you were supposed to name your children only after saints, like John. That's why all the Catholics are called John, Joseph, Thomas, da, 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 da.
Right.
And I was named Shannon, which is an Irish name because we're of Irish heritage. And I would say, but there is no Saint Shannon. And my mom said, well, then that means that you need to become one.
Yeah, you'll be the first.
Oh, wow. I wonder if she's serious. I wonder if that's a real thing that I actually have to do is become St. Shannon. So it was planted in my mind really early, but I took it seriously. She probably didn't mean it seriously. So I really did go through some strong religious moments when I was a kid. And how did I actually get to this moment? It happened in 2003, which is now 13 years ago. I was working as a writer for a nonprofit organization, and they had a conference in Egypt, and it was in the Sinai, Sinai, and I was meditating in the Sinai. In the morning, I got up and I had a kikui, a cloth over my head, and I heard what's called an external locution, a voice from outside of me that said, now it's time for you to help other people. And I threw the cloth off my head, and I looked around, and there were some other people meditating with me, and they didn't budge. So it was only me that heard the voice. And after that, I went to dinner with the other people. I went to lunch, and I asked them, do you have any big questions about your life? And they're like, sure. It was 35 people in their 20s and 30s from all over the world. Of course, they had big questions about their life. And I said, let me see if I can get you an answer from your angels. And they said, how are you going to do that? So I had learned a technique of kinesiology. Have you ever seen or heard kinesiology before?
No, but you were talking a little bit about it in our Get Acquainted call.
Right. So kinesiology comes from kinetics, kinesiology, and it means the science of movement and the study of movement. So you can use muscle testing, and she'll hold your hand and she'll say, is Shannon allergic to wheat? Yes. Is Shannon allergic to milk? Yes. Is Shannon allergic to meat? No. But she's not saying it out loud. She's asking the body, and the muscles will respond. So it's a great way to determine allergies to food, right? If I had started doing it for myself, should I go out with that guy? No. Should I do this thing? Yes. Should I take that course? Yes. Should I do this? Yes and no, yes, no. So I was doing it like this. I'll show you. Yes, no. Can you see that clearly?
Yeah.
Yes.
Passes through.
No.
Right.
Okay, so do it super gently. Super, super gently. Yeah, that's it. So pretend that there's a magnet between your finger and your thumb. Okay, let me do it so you can see it. Finger and thumb, right? Magnet like a fridge magnet. Just sticky. Sticky. Okay, sticky. Now you pray, and you say, dear God, please allow me to get answers like this. And then please say after me, Trevina, show me a yes.
Show me a yes.
Okay, then what you want it to do is to stick. You want it to stay shut.
Okay, sure.
That's it. Only do it once, okay? Show me a yes. No, you're not in trouble. You're just learning. Okay. Show me a yes. Bang. Done. Okay, do that.
Show me a yes.
Done. Okay. Now say, dear God, if it is your divine will and you want to show me yes or no's using my fingers, please show me a no. Okay, you don't have to do the long version every time, okay? But that's the intention.
Right.
And you say, show me a no, and I'm just trying to get it on the camera so you can see it properly. Mm-hmm. No. It passes right through smoothly, and these guys click right back together again.
Right.
Okay? You try it.
Just like the magnet.
You got it. That's very nice. Okay. You did it nicely.
Okay.
So then you can ask yes/no questions. These are the parameters. You're using your body as an antenna for divine guidance. Okay. Therefore, I can only ask questions about me. I can't ask, should my mom move to Australia?
Right.
Not my business.
Right.
And I also shouldn't ask, in 25 years, should I move to Japan? It's like not within my range of things to do right now today.
Right.
I could say, should I start studying Japanese? No? Okay. Should I start studying Japanese? Yes. Okay. I do have an idea that sometime in the future I'm going to go visit Japan and like stay there for a while, which is great. So should I study Japanese? Yes. I'm getting a yes. Closed means yes, because it's like done. You should do that. No means no, we want you to do something else.
Keep thinking.
So should I study Russian? I could. Okay. Should I study Spanish? Should I study French? I already know French. Should I study, Finnish? No. Okay. So
you're
you can
just
ask.
letting your fingers lightly.
And also, I don't really care whether I study Russian or French or German, so I'm not like trying to override it. So if I said, because if I really cared about it, it might be like, am I thinking this? Am I making this happen? So that's why I designed a course. It's a 21-day online course of how to do this to get your answers for yourself. And it's 21 emails that I would send to you every day. And it's only $10. So I'd like to share that link with you.
Yeah, I have that. You forwarded it to me. So I will make sure to put it on your profile page. So, and I know, those were some of the questions we have. One other that I wanted to, before we get into the 3 themes that we're going to explore, just very quickly, is your life perfect? Do you know everything before it happens? A lot of times our perception is like, oh, she's got it made. She's got, the direct line to the main line, and it bypasses life experience,
Yeah. Wouldn't that be the thing, huh?
She never goes out on rainy days because she always knows. She always wins the lottery because she knows the tickets. That's kind of the perception.
So even though I've been saying that I strongly believe that we should respond quickly and that we should always ask, for permission, and that we can work in collaboration with spirit, I am a human being and I am here to have a human experience. I can say that. And so I make mistakes and I don't always ask for permission, and things go wrong and I trip and fall and I override with my ego. So remember the ego voice. So, like there was this relationship that I can discuss that I went into the room and I saw this beautiful guy and I heard this voice say, and it was like, not a say, but just a little nudge of a say that said, he's too young. And I looked at him and I'm like, he's not too young. He's just right. He's just right. And then I checked. I said, I'm this age. How old are you? And he was 3 years younger than I was. But I thought, that's completely within range. I don't know what they're talking about. And then it rolled out and then slam. It did not work. And I was in a lot of pain. And it was because I forced it. I went against that guidance. And I said, you, what? Too young, what? So that wasn't such a good idea.
Yeah.
But it happened, and I survived.
Right. That's, and like I said in our pre-interview call, it's comforting to know that the human experience is part of why we're here. And even if you are able to tune in, to our angels and guides, which we're all able to do. That's part of what you're helping us, is that we're all able to do. You amplify the message so that we can begin to do it on our own.
Right.
And so even once we're able to tune in and we get really good at it, we're still human. We're still wholly human, and we live in human experience. And so tell us, I know 3 things that we wanted to talk about today.
Right.
The first, we've kind of been hinting to, but is very specifically, you are guided.
That's my theme, Trevina. You are guided. And I really, when I say that to you, I mean it with my whole heart. And I mean it despite the troubles that life has given you, despite the challenges, you are guided. And it means God loves you, and you're on this path and you're holding the hand of the divine and you're walking along, and you're still going to trip, just like a 5-year-old trips. You're holding your 5-year-old's hand and he still trips, right? Even though you're holding onto his hand tightly. Maybe he runs away from you and then he falls down and scrapes his knee. Still, you know, we are being guided, and I believe in a divine intelligence that loves us and cares about us and that intervenes with us on a regular basis.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love that. That's comforting.
Mm.
So how do you go from the five senses, taste, touch, all of our five senses that we so readily know, into our sixth sense? How do we develop that into our sixth sense?
So our sixth sense is another way of saying our intuition, the way that we learn from the inside out. It's another way of saying divine guidance or divine guidance, our higher self, our best self, the best Shannon, the smartest Shannon, the Shannon who's 120 years old, the happy version of 120, who's looking back and saying, don't smoke cigarettes.
Right.
Why are you having that glass of wine? Well, that's no good for you. Take a yoga class. So that whatever mechanism is actually working, we can tap into that. We can use muscle testing. That's one way of doing it. Or we can use our senses. So I want to ask you, Trevina, what is your strongest sense of taste, touch, feel, seeing, hearing?
I would say hearing. I have a really, I will always ask people, did you hear that? Even with my daughter, I'm like, do you hear that buzzing? That's very much I just have a really tuned hearing.
Then one way that you can try to use your fifth sense, your hearing sense, so that's the one that's closest to the top, to try to get into your intuition, is by praying about it and asking for help. And then asking for your ears to buzz. One of the ways they can buzz is right ear buzzing means yes, and left ear buzzing means no. You can do that. I wonder if you've ever had, since hearing is your best sense or one of your favorite senses, that feeling of going deaf in one ear, but just for 1 second. Have you ever had that?
Yeah.
That can be a way of receiving guidance. So if it's so just say right ear is going to be yes, left ear is going to be no. And then a buzzing or a deafness or a ding or something in that ear says, I should do that or I shouldn't do that.
Right. And so it's
one way of doing it.
Okay. And so do I wait to have that experience again, or can I start today and say
both?
Okay.
So you're on a street that you don't know very well, and all of a sudden your ear starts itching, buzzing, dinging, giving you some kind of a something, okay? Turn your head that way and say, what's over there? What do I need to look at? Okay, there's a shop. I've never seen that shop before. Okay, I have 10 minutes. Let me just go into that shop and see what's there. Mm-hmm. And then you find an old friend works in that shop, or you find the pair of red shoes that you've been looking for, or something. Or the left ear, then you would look that way. Or you can use the yes, no, and you can say, yes, this is a place that I should be. I've been looking for an office. Maybe I should look for an office on this street. This is such a nice street. I have such a good feeling here. This is really a good place. Maybe I should buy a property here. This is really a cool place to be. Okay, that's them talking to you. That's them going ding, 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 ding. Hey, we want to talk to you. The other way is you talking to them. So you're holding something in your hand. You're holding two possibilities in your hand. And you say, let's try one. You say, should I do this thing? And then there's something on the paper, right? And then you hold it, you hold it, you hold it, and you wait to see if either side activates. And then if you're going to bother to ask, then do that thing or don't do that thing, right? I mean, that's part of the story.
Right.
So if you just want to be willful and do it your own way, then don't ask.
Right.
Just
don't even ask for the information.
No, don't ask. Because it's a little bit disrespectful to ask and then ignore.
Right. And so I'm looking at children, and they seem divinely guided so effortlessly, right? They're always doing what's in their now moment. They will just kind of run off. And so at what point in our development does the ego become louder? Is it when the more we learn, as we go through schooling, we become more logical? Is that what it is?
Well, it corresponds with that. The Catholic Church says that it's 7 because it's age of reason. And that's why they start First Communion at the age of 7, because they say that before that, a child is a wild little creature who doesn't really understand or can't tune into things that are holy and serious. So does something get lost at that point? And can something be preserved from the wildness or the naturalness or the connection to spirit? And I think the way to do that is by affirming to children, I believe you. I believe in your dreams. I believe you're scared of that. It's okay to be scared of that. I believe you don't like that guy. Fine, you don't have to hug that guy. That's okay. I'm on your team. I believe you don't want to play with that kid anymore because he beats you up. I believe you. It's okay. I'm on your team. I'm on your side. So it's working with their natural inclinations, not forcing them to do things that they don't want to do, offering them opportunities. So if your child really hates to play on soccer because it's still too competitive, try to put him in swimming and see if that works better.
Right. And so the third thing that we were going to kind of explore today is the concept of God is my mommy. Tell us what you mean by that, where that comes from, and how we can incorporate that.
So, I was raised in your standard white bread patriarchy, right? So God was an old man sitting on a throne. But, not all of my teachers hammered that home, and some of them were a little bit more open-minded and artistic because I grew up in the 70s and 80s. But it only really came to me after I became a mother. So I have a 6-year-old boy, and I love that child like to death. I would walk through fire for him. I would do anything. If I had one slice of bread and we were starving to death, I would give him the slice of bread and I would go hungry. My love for that child is fiercer and stronger than any love that I've ever experienced in my life or known about. So my mom loved me, and I felt that love, and I really appreciated that love. And I still love my mom. We're very close. But it was me experiencing the activity of loving, of actively loving someone that I would kill for or die for, that made me think, oh, remember that Bible verse in the Old Testament that said, let a mother forsake her child, I will not abandon you. So that means my love is greater than a mother's love for a child. And I'm like, whoa, but my love for my child is super great. So I was feeling a little bit distant from God, even though I do this work, and even though I'm getting proof every day that we are guided and God exists. I was just having a dip. And I thought, it's because I'm not identifying with that facet of God. So in Judaism, they have 72 names for God. They call God the name. They call God the place. They call God the creator. They call God the Lord of everything. And I thought, I want to call God mommy, because that's the door that I want to walk through that gives me that access to that kind of passionate and attentive love. And so if I don't have a tattoo, but if I had a tattoo, it would be God is my mommy, because it makes me choke up. It makes me get emotional. And that helps bring me right back to my closeness with the God of my understanding.
I love that. I grew up very much in the same tradition, thinking of God as this great adjudicator in the sky, that if you do good, you are blessed. And it was a very separate feeling. And so if I didn't do the right thing, I wouldn't have God's favor. And so you just by saying, and you're right, you're absolutely right. I actually call my mother now and thank her for things she did when I was a child, because you don't know what it feels like. You don't know what it feels like to stay up all night and still be ready for more, have more to give to your child, and it's a constant, and you do it willingly and lovingly. And you don't know what that's like until you're a mother and you go through it. And I call my mom now and I'm like, thank you. I never would have known that this is what you went through. I would have never known that you sacrificed without ever asking for, hey, say thank you for this, or hey, do you remember when I did this for you when you were 9 years old? It's just giving willingly because they love you.
Let's time that times a million to the divine, who's omnipotent and omniscient and who knows us, inside and out, far beyond the human plane of things. Yes, I also call my mom and tell her, oh, you're right. You said that I wouldn't understand that until I was mom, and you're right. And now I probably don't even understand the extent to which you suffered and sacrificed, but I understand a little bit more.
I think one of the greatest things that I learned on our pre-call was that not only are you a single mom, but you specialize. It's one of the niches that you work with. are single.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Totally.
And
Yeah.
so I love that not only is it part of your human experience, but you have a specific niche of working with single moms. So talk to us a little bit before we, wrap up. Talk to me a little bit about your human experience being a single mom. How do you overcome the perspective change? One of the things we talk about a lot here at Single Mom's Guide to Life is shifting our perspective from feeling that lack and limitation of not having a partner, and instead of thinking of it as, oh man, I am severely wounded and coming from that victim, this has happened to me and everything's going to be hard, to, okay, what tools and systems can I develop so that I can free up my creative abilities and still live the life that I want and live the life that I desire. So talk to me a little bit about how that experience is for you.
I would really mirror back to what you just said, though, because I certainly started off like that. I said, this should not be happening. This is not what I had planned. This was not what I signed up for.
Oh,
so I was really upset with that. Now, I'm lucky to say that I have a co-parent. So my child's father is 50-50 with me in terms of time and money. So I do have that blessing. And that's why I'm able, and it's possible for me to be having this conversation with you right now. So as you can tell, the sun is setting and my son is fine. He's being taken care of by his dad and everything's okay. So we have a 50-50 time split and we contribute 50-50 to his education and his upbringing. I can say that I'm lucky about that. But there are parts that are hard for me. One is I married a South African guy, and so we have a child here in South Africa. I would like to move back to the States. I'm American, and I've lived in many countries, but I never planned on staying in one country for a long time. And so now, I'm here, and I'm here for the next few years because I want my child to have a dad, and I want the dad to be able to access his child very easily. So that, for me, sometimes makes me bang my head against the table and say, why did I do this? Why did I do this? And then I have to see the blessing side of it, which is like, wow, I'm in South Africa. I'm on the radio in South Africa. I have lots of fantastic clients. I'm learning a ton of things. I'm in a beautiful and sunny country. It's kind of like, oh yeah, remember that was your dream when you were a kid, to live in a beautiful sunny country and help people and be on the radio and be a little bit famous? Oh yeah. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's to be not bitter, but make it better. And to say, my human experience is, oh, that's not what I planned. And then to say, God's hand is with me and guiding me along this path. It's actually okay.
Yeah.
In fact, it's more than okay.
I love that, especially because I think my turning point, when I went from feeling very stuck in this victim, oh gosh, this is happening to me, this is not what I signed up for, and I was trying to wrestle with the situation and change it to the point where, okay, God is here too, and it's happening. So somehow this must be on the path, right? This must be what is, I'm sure that of all the life experiences, mine wasn't the only one that just jumped tracks, right? Like, so it's, I always tell people, you just yell, plot, twist, and move on, okay, so we're facing East now. What does East have to offer me? What is here? And I always tell people, I plan on clearing the board of what is here in this moment. Not so much looking at, oh, I could have had that, or I wish it would have been that, or, oh, I planned that, and this is what I planned on having a child and having a parent there, and then I wouldn't have all of these, you can go down, down, down. But it's like, but I have this. And so I'm going to clear the board with what is here. I am getting every blessing and opportunity that is here. And I want that for other single moms. It's a transition. It's a perspective shift. But right where you are, there are blessings, and I intend to make sure you get them,
That's right.
You grasp them. So I love it. I'm so grateful for the work that you do, Shannon.
Being in South Africa, sometimes I think, oh, if I lived in America, I would pay huge money to go on a safari. And actually, I can just drive to a safari. And it costs like $50. Oh, yeah, right. Things are good.
I have a friend that just visited South Africa and was showing me pictures, and it has to be, if the pictures are doing it somewhat justice, whoa.
Come on over.
Imagine. We will have to plan a trip because it's gorgeous.
Yeah, we'll make a plan.
Before I let you go, Shannon, tell us a little bit about how we can work with you. I know you have
sure.
3 distinct kind of buckets. Let us know how we can get in touch and work with you.
Thank you. So I have a course that is online, and you're going to put up the link to that. And I have a book, which is on audible.com that people can listen to, that I've read out loud, that is about how to contact your spirit guides and how to get your own divine guidance. So those are things that one can do on one's own. Then working with me individually, I do telephone and Skype calls for 1 hour, and we address your 10 toughest questions. So that's a one-on-one session. And then I also do, I do face-to-face if I'm near you, so I can do face-to-face if I'm in the States, which I am often, or if you're over here. And then I have, this is my most exciting thing, and I've started it this year, an ongoing coaching program for women that is daily contact. So every day you get to ask a question. Should I hire that person for my business? Should I take on that new opportunity? Should I buy that house? What should I do about that? And the detailed answers are, they're like lots and lots of information. A weekly call and a monthly face-to-face Skype or in-person session. That's called Seeker Sisters.
Oh, I love it. That is so, and you really do, you meet us as a seeker sister, I think, in every capacity. So
I'd invite you to join that. There's a fee, but the support that you get from the international group of women is really uplifting.
I love it. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Trevina, for having me.
It was all a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Good luck with clearing the board.
Yeah, clearing the board. Here's to clearing the board. Thank you, Shannon.
Amen.
We'll have you back next time. Bye-bye.